In his line of work, our second speaker is an agent of change. He helps build a bridge between businesses, and he helps businesses to become more effective and efficient. Through usage and by applying architecture, he propagates business transformation by affecting people, processes, and technology. Please help me welcome Boris Bokov with his speech titled Key Architect's Skills.
It'll be very quick because we don't have enough time. I want to thank Blaine for giving me this opportunity to speak. And Richard wanted to say something.
Yeah, we're actually back on time.
You're back on time? Excellent. But anyway, thank you, Blaine.
We kept it on schedule.
Today I'm going to talk about architect skills. And this is a speech I gave last week on Canadian Enterprise Architecture Forum here in Edmonton. And I'm planning giving it more. And I always talk about it when I talk to the businesses. And it's based on a white paper that I wrote last year about key architect skills. So skills that architects must possess in order to add value. And the key about this is actually adding value to your organization. When I talked about this, basically the room was full of architects. So there were, let's say, technical and maybe non-technical audience. So I'll just try to present what I presented during that speech last week and hopefully in the future. When you think about skills, my idea was actually to have some food for thought. Are we spending time on right activities in our organizations that actually add value? So basically, do we do things that really add value and deliver that value? With architecture, it's sometimes very hard because we can design architecture. We can design the best architecture, and it's still useless because it's not used, it's not adopted, it's not leveraged. So we need to seek out for opportunities where we can actually apply this architecture, and we can do it through projects. Is there anyone in this room who hasn't participated in projects? It seems that everybody participates in projects. So these skills that I'm going to talk about today, I divide into 3 groups, and there are 10 skills. They're in context of project life cycle. So we go from requirements, what you're supposed to do, then we go to design, specifications, and then the biggest part that I always propagate the most is actually influence. Because we can have the best design, we can have the best requirements, and still we can even communicate it well, but architecture is still not used because we fail to connect with customers, people that use the products at the end. I was supposed to use PowerPoint. I don't have it today. However, I have key architect skills, and I'm going to distribute this around the room. And let's start. Let's talk about skills. 10 skills that architects must possess in order to add value. And that's how they'll be measured. That's how they'll maintain that relationship. That's how businesses will pick up the phone and phone architects so they can help them out. There are 3 groups, as you can see in the handout. And the first group of skills is about requirements, elicitation. Every project starts with some kind of problem that you want to solve. So we need to learn what business wants. So that's the biggest thing with requirements. Asking right questions and being able to be inquisitive. And actually, first skill is to inquire. I always want to add for this skill, what's even more important actually is to question assumptions. That's why I said this morning on introduction, my job is to question assumptions. Why? Because everybody always accepts assumptions. Explicit, or what's even worse, these implicit, that are not stated. And then they say, yeah, we will build an arena in Edmonton. Nobody really questioned it. They already designed it. Wow. See, good architects, they'll immediately start create their design. Great architects will actually question it, why they need it. First skill was to inquire. Second skill, now when we have some idea about solution, how it's going to look like, now we need to integrate it into the rest of the environment. How all is going to fit. And we need to know business acumen, we need to know internal standards, we need to know industry practices. So we need to be knowledgeable about so many things. How to put it inside of that big context. Once we integrate, so that's the second skill, to integrate, now we have enough information to create a little bit of business context. Now we have these entities, we have these relationships, how they talk to each other, how they bring value from down to the top. And that's actually now analysis. You analyze all of this information. So this first group is about requirements elicitation and analysis. To inquire, to integrate, and to analyze. Now we have enough information to actually start working on solution. And some people are really good with this. They sit down and they create all these beautiful pictures, all these blueprints, many, many different pictures. But of course, it has to have some order how people do that. So first thing is, again, so the skill is to conceptualize, to create a concept. Can anyone from the room tell us what's the concept? What does it mean?
Vision?
Vision comes before that.
Okay, the idea, actually. Concept will be an idea in principle that is not on paper yet.
Like the Rexall building concept.
Yes, sure.
Not done yet. It would be based on your analysis after you've got the information of what the client wants. So that would be conceptualization based on what the client wants.
Thank you for explaining what this skill meant. So this skill was to conceptualize. You might be confused by this, but no. So basically, it's a picture with more details. That's all. Picture with more details. And this is now the trap. It could be that trap. Details. Sometimes I would see specifications 100, 200, 300 pages, and nobody reads that. It stays on shelf. And now one of the greatest skills that are really needed is actually abstraction, to suppress irrelevant detail. Sometimes I would see things delivered to, let's say, C-level executives, 100 pages. Do these people have time to read that? They don't. So you need to be able to abstract now a solution based on viewpoint. It's different for people here, and also different for people who will be delivering it. People who will be actually working with it, they need a real specification. So to abstract, that was another skill. Next one is, again, pretty pictures, to visualize. Now we add more details into the picture. Again, it's still not formal, but it's there to communicate with the business. While doing this, what's the best practice is actually to be with the business, to spend time with them, so that everybody is comfortable with it. And next thing, at the end, what comes is to formalize. This is where we create real architecture. Because architecture is not just about pictures. It's about details, about specifications. And Andrew Grove, former CEO of Intel, said, "Devil is in details." This is where you demonstrate this skill of being detailed and creating a real specification, a real document. This is usually a Bible for the project. So the second group is actually where we sit down and we work on system design specification. We conceptualize, we abstract, we visualize, and we formalize. And this is where usually people think this is the end of work for architecture. However, that would be, again, I'm using this for a great mistake, because now is the time to influence the environment and users and customers to use the product. Now, we need to be able to communicate, to enable, and to assist businesses. Communication. What I'm doing right now, this is communication, speaking. And this is always ongoing process, always learning. We need to be able to speak to people so they can understand what we want to say. We need to be able to draw. Blaine demonstrated today a couple of really excellent pictures here. You can see in red color. So it's a great skill to possess, to draw. And again, just to communicate. Another one that Blaine mentioned a lot today, to facilitate. Many times architecture is given authority. Well, no, sorry. It's given actually responsibility without authority. And then you need to be able to jump in and sometimes to facilitate, to take control of the meetings. Because many meetings, as you know, it's a whirlwind. You lose focus. The big one in communication is what I really try to propagate and obviously become better with it is listening skills. And I also connect that with empathy. Sometimes architecture is seen as people who sit in the ivory tower high up. And then obviously that's a big turn off. However, if you go down and you mingle with the businesses, with the people who really do job on the front lines, and if you empathize with them, if you understand their problems, then you build that relationship and you again communicate. So first skill in this influencing part was to communicate. Again, that's not enough. We can have the best architecture, the best designs, the best communication plans, and still it fails. Because we didn't enable people to do things. We need to enable them. We need to give them some kind of guidelines, some kind of documentation, checklists. And even that's not enough. For example, now I'm moving to assisting because you need also to be there. You need to explain these things, to show them. Just last week, I've been working with sustainable development with the city of Edmonton, and one of clients, he phoned and he said, "Where did my links disappear?" In city of Edmonton, they adopted Google Documents. So now they can collaborate through spreadsheets. And somebody expanded column, so everything that was on the right-hand side disappeared. So they didn't know. But of course, we talked on the phone, so I assisted my good friend Ron. And that's the ultimate success for me, when I can pick up the phone and phone the businesses, and then the same thing, they do it. Because they have trust. So we built that idea of being trusted advisor. I see the red light, so I will just quickly summarize. And before I summarize, I just want to mention this. Usually architecture is seen as people who will, businesses sometimes tell us, "Oh, you're the guy who is going to tell us what not to do." And I say, well, with all due respect, blah, 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 that's a stereotype. Because we're there to actually help people and projects to make right decisions. And sometimes right decision is actually to tell you not to do it. To make you, well, basically you will make the decision. So let me summarize 10 key skills. I divided into 3 groups that you had in the handout. To inquire, to integrate, to analyze around requirements, and then real system design, to conceptualize, to abstract, to visualize, and to formalize, and the most important one, to influence through communication, enabling, and assisting. And that's all. Have a great day.